Hey everyone, so this will be a channeled message and reading for you, and if this has found you, then there is something of value for you in this reading, and I truly set the intention that it will find the right people at the right time. And so if this reading's finding you, chances are that you might be kind of straddling between two worlds. You might be in this in-between liminal phase in your life where you're not fully settled in one world, yet you're kind of still in the other world, and all of the kind of consequences of that old world are still kind of clinging on to you, if you want to call it that. And there's this real energy right now, this opportunity where you're actually able to kind of move out of this stagnation period that you've been in, this wandering back and forth between this world and that world. But this is going to require that you kind of reconcile and that you sort of sit a little bit deeply in whatever grief, so to speak, could be, actual grief of losing somebody, or just grief of an old life, an old way that's slipping away. I'm also seeing a few other cards that are also just confirming the message of great change, great lessons being learned. We have the Halls of Amenti initiation card. So this is a card of both learning the ancient wisdom, but it's also about being initiated. So it's starting anew. So it's ending a cycle and starting another one because you've learned these lessons that you were supposed to. As well as the Akashic Records card, which just shows that this is kind of part of your soul contract, that you're finally clearing or ready to clear these old stories from whatever old world you were kind of had one or have one foot in. It shows me that you're releasing past lives and that you're kind of opening up to this freedom, this new life, this new opportunity. And that what is needed from you right now is some very grounded action, some anchoring to your earth star, your real purpose, and the ability to move forward into the new. And so when I start a reading like this and I start to pull these cards that all kind of show me the same messages, this is how I do it for myself, for my clients. But when I see that there's so much great change on this kind of a scale, I mean, this is not just some small changes in your life. This is a whole new part of you, or maybe even a whole new life, or just a whole new chapter being born, and an old cycle really closing out. When that happens for me, then I do one of my absolute favorite readings, and this is what I've done for you today, and I'm going to explain this. I offer this as a personal reading as well, but I'm going to go through a collective one right now to help you out. And this reading is a spiritual kind of team of light, like an advisory board, if you will. It's a collection of different spiritual high-ranking beings, masters, saints, archangels, ancestors, even spirit animals that I've pulled from various decks that have collectively kind of stepped forward and are going to, that have asked or like I said, stepped forward to be on your support system. So this reading is one that I do whenever, for example, I set new intentions that are quite lofty, and I'm wanting to take the next step, and everything is very uncertain and unknown. I sort of gather this team, this board, these spiritual advisors all around me, and I work with this specific team. This is kind of a reading that's meant to last for a couple of, for me, maybe months, or, to do quarterly, or if you're just, starting something new, a new project, new job, anywhere where there's a new beginning, where you're releasing kind of old guides that have taken you this far, and you're welcoming in and inviting in and meeting new ones. And the whole thing with this reading, what's really beautiful is that the way that I ask the question from each of the decks is the same. I ask, for example, the Keepers of the Light deck. I say, thank you, Keepers of the Light. Anyone, any Keeper of the Light who can support, let's say, for this reading, this collective right now, and take them through this transition and help them kind of clear these old stories, whatever is showing up in the initial cards. whoever can help us the most, help this collective the most, please step forward. And what's really beautiful is that it really feels that all of these high-ranking individuals have chosen to help you, and they will be by your side throughout this transition. It's a very comforting, exciting kind of process. And the whole point here is that throughout this process, you'll kind of meet with this board of advisors through meditations, when you have to make decisions, and so on and so forth. And I'll explain a little bit more about how to utilize this kind of a reading, but it's very, very powerful. And just given the cards that were coming out earlier, with so much great change, and with great change, of course, comes different responsibilities and the consequences of not, taking the leap. And so we really want to make sure that we're supported and that we call on the highest, kind of holiest beings to be around us at this time, and to really have these individual relationships with one team that is supporting you through this. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead. I know it's I get so excited when I do these readings, but let's meet the team, basically, is what we're going to do right now. This is the team who has volunteered, who has graciously stepped forward to help you through these challenges, whatever situation, came to mind, or that you're going through, or that new chapter. You have a team supporting you. And so I'm going to now introduce you to this team. Okay, so the first member of our spiritual advisory board is Archangel Haniel. So Archangel Haniel was the first kind of being to step forward, and her name means grace of God. She is such a powerful archangel, but she's powerful in a very feminine way. So she's very much associated with the moon, with kind of the feminine sacral chakra, and she's very graceful, as her name implies. And she's the archangel here first and foremost to help you honor your feelings throughout this process. So the message that I'm getting with this here is that whatever you're going through, maybe the old or whatever changes you're experiencing and stepping into the new, it might have been kind of an old way, a past way of doing things would be to sort of, white knuckle it, maybe block out your emotions, or just not involve or incorporate or maybe validate or value your emotions as indicators, as kind of something that is going to help you. And you might have had this tendency perhaps in the past to, when you're starting a new situation, try to kind of, block out all those emotions, thinking that they're just distractions. And so this card, Haniel, coming up, she's really telling us that the way to move forward and through this process with grace is going to be to actually tune in and tap into our feelings in such a way where we honor them, where we, use them as information, as data. Oh, okay, this certain thing is making me feel ungrounded, for example, or unsafe. That's not the thing for me. That's not the right decision. So, with any new venture comes so many new decisions and new steps that you have to take that it can be so overwhelming. And when Haniel shows up, especially as the first, member of our spiritual advisory board, she's saying, first and foremost, honor your feelings. Stay present and stay aware and keep track of exactly what you're feeling throughout this process, because that is going to help you navigate. That is going to be your GPS. And Archangel Haniel, working with her, can really help you do that. The other thing that Archangel Haniel is wonderful for is, synchronization with the moon cycles, as well as the moon has a very strong connection to intuition and psychic senses. And so Haniel is here to, it could be a couple of things. It could be a spiritual venture or chapter that you're starting, or a spiritual mission, and there are some other cards here that are showing me that it could be that. but a spiritual mission or almost like a call that you're finally answering. And so Archangel Haniel is kind of here to enhance those psychic, intuitive faculties within you to help you jumpstart that process. But even if this is not, specifically spiritually related, let's just say you're moving to a new country or something, right? Haniel is here supporting you by heightening your intuition so that you can use it as a navigation system. And that's an incredibly useful and valuable and really like wonderful and fantastic card to have as our sort of anchor card, the very first, board member. So, it's kind of this advice and guidance telling you whatever you get stuck, number one, first and foremost, go back to your feelings. Ask yourself what you're feeling. And it might sound basic, but Haniel is going to help you tap into, deeper and deeper and deeper levels of this intuition. And that's going to be what's really going to navigate and guide you through this transition. So that is our first board member. And let me now introduce you to our second, and that's Archangel Orion. So this is absolutely beautiful because Archangel Orion is the archangel that is connected to miracles, the energy of manifesting miracles. And, oftentimes he helps us with our life's purpose, these kind of bigger overarching manifestations rather than like small little things that we think we need. This is a card of manifesting what you truly need. This is a card of manifesting, making the impossible possible. This is a card of, Archangel Orion stepping in here and saying, hey, there's nothing too big or out of bounds, out of reach for you. You can literally manifest miracles and whatever you actually want. When you tap into your feelings with Haniel, you come to recognize exactly what your heart's desire is, not what you thought you wanted before, what so-and-so told you or what someone else is doing, but what you want. And so that card tapping into your feelings, honoring your emotions as the very first kind of foundation and basis, just shows me that Archangel Orion then follows to say, yes, tap into those emotions, those deep, deep, deep desires, and I am going to help you bring those down, draw down the power of the cosmos so that you can actually make that a reality, so that you can actually do that. And I want to I didn't mention this with Haniel, but with certain cards, there's a little kind of prayer that you can say. And throughout, whatever amount of time you're going to be working with this particular board of directors or spiritual advisory board, you can really, that's what I do. And I tell my clients to do is to repeat these sayings, because these are going to be kind of very important prayers. They're on certain cards, and I'll recite them to you. So for Haniel, the prayer that you can recite, right when you need, you could even do these daily. That's a very good practice to sort of wake up, recite these short prayers, call in your board of directors, your spiritual advisory board to be with you throughout the day as you make decisions, as you take steps, as you, decide what to do next. This is your team. And so this is a great way to really tap into the individual powers of each of them is by reciting these prayers. So for Haniel, the prayer that you can recite to sort of invoke her and ask for her help is, thank you, Haniel, for supporting me as I honor my emotions. That's it. Super simple. Thank you, Archangel Haniel, for supporting me as I honor my emotions. And, anytime an emotion is coming up that's challenging you or that, is kind of making you question, oh, is this the right move? Is this not? Or even making you kind of not believe in your own power, whatever that emotion is, you can go back to that prayer and ask Haniel to step in because she's here waiting to help you, right? And with Archangel Orion, the prayer is, thank you, Orion, for manifesting your miracles in my world. And so anytime you're feeling like, this vision, this dream of yours, this next chapter is too big, or, you need the energy of a miracle, you just go back to that prayer, or, invoke that every single day as a way to start your day with, the power of your team behind you. So let's move on. I want to show you some of the other members that stepped forward. So from the Keepers of the Light, we have Faith. And I mean, I love when I get Faith in any board of directors reading specifically, or any reading, because with this card, it's showing me that she is here. And the way that she's so graciously giving you this energy of faith is, it's almost like a gift. It's like faith is going to be here for you. So as you keep taking these action steps, you keep, moving toward those big dreams. And so long as you honor your feelings, Faith, Archangel Faith, you can absolutely call on her when that faith starts to, when you can't seem to find it or feel it at that moment. That's when you call on Faith. Or every morning, like I said, you call on Faith and you just say, be with me today. Faith is something that's super critical to have whenever you're starting something new, because faith is all about having trust and certainty in the unknown. And so when you're starting something new, everything's unknown. And so faith is such an auspicious kind of wonderful presence to have in any board of directors, and one that because she stepped forward, because she came forth to be on your advisory board, that she's here and you can call on her at any given moment, and she will come and she will bring back that faith in some way. And so this card says, stay calm. It says, trust the good in yourself and others and see the light in the world. And that's exactly what faith is going to help you do if you come across these moments where you're just not feeling it, or you're kind of forgetting what the real purpose is. Okay, so next we have Lady Portia. Lady Portia is all about divine justice, and she is this angel this keeper of the light who's going to come and bring divine order into whatever situation. So, if this is a legal situation in particular, maybe a battle that's been ongoing, or any sort of situation where you feel that we're looking for justice, this is telling me, Lady Portia is here to bring that justice into this new chapter. You are getting your justice. You are getting divine order. You are protected legally, and whatever is actually true and just and the right thing that needs to happen, Lady Portia is ensuring that happens right now. And so whenever you're feeling weary of this, and you know what, even if it's not a legal situation, this could just be, it's your turn to live your dream. And that is truly justice for you. It is justice for you to, finally put your own needs first, or to start a family, or to find new love, or whatever new chapter or cycle you're closing out, and new one you're starting. Know that Lady Portia is stepping forth because she is bringing justice to the old stories that were presumably unjust or not fair in some ways. And so this is such a peaceful, calming card to get. And someone who, anytime you're feeling like this is not fair, or let's say you're kind of going through this situation where things had to break apart in order to, rebuild them, Lady Portia is a wonderful keeper of the light to call on, so that you don't get in victim mode, but that you remember that everything is unfolding in perfect time, space, sequence, and that the right kind of ending to all of this is coming through this. Like, there's kind of justice that's being served, even though, maybe some chaos had to happen before the justice can be served. And with the cards that were coming out before, like especially this Dust Devil, it's like I am getting the sense, and I'm being told here, that there is quite a bit of chaos or something stirred up in order for you to get to this point where, okay, you need to start this new chapter. This old cycle needs to close out. And so Lady Portia is here to bring a sense of justice to the whole situation, and she can be called on throughout and invoked in that morning meditation or invocation as part of your team of light. And so you can step forth knowing that whatever's, the right thing is going to happen. Justice will prevail. Okay, and so the next member of our advisory board for this situation is Charity. And so Charity is stepping forth as one of your advisors, your spiritual advisors, to help you tap into a few things. Number one is going to be the energy of prayer. So if you're somebody who maybe just doesn't, like, prayer is not part of your daily practice, or maybe there's been some religious tainting where, prayer has to be done a certain way. Charity is this energy where we can really pray from our hearts and have this genuine conversation with our Creator. And so if you're someone who didn't have that before, this is now the time where you are being offered the ability to do that, to pray in a way, because prayer is just one of the most, for me at least, therapeutic and beautiful practices that connects you with your divine Creator, with God, with your entire support system. Prayer is such a beautiful, gracious energy that opens your higher heart and opens your crown and connects you to heaven. And she's also saying that your prayers are being, heard, and that you can speak and kind of connect to higher realms through your prayers. And so what a beautiful, thing to know as you're starting a new venture, that your prayers will be heard, right? And anytime you feel like they might not be, Charity can help you with that. Now, Charity can also help just deepen your prayer practice if you are someone who already prays, or just telling you, that when you pray and you welcome in all these angels, Charity is helping you really solidify this prayer practice of yours, which is going to, in some way, shape, or form, even though you might not be able to connect the dots just yet, it's going to be very important, and maybe even kind of a foundational element of whatever chapter you're heading into. Charity can also help, and this is really the main message of this particular Charity card. Charity in other decks means other things. But in this particular card, it's about serving with a gracious heart. And so coming out, especially right after Lady Portia, it almost shows me that there might have been situations in the past where you were treated unfairly. And, when that happens, we have a tendency to close off and to become bitter or resentful, or just to really not feel as, warm and fuzzy towards others, because we were hurt, right? And we were treated unfairly. And so the inner child part of us, but also the ego parts of us, on all levels, we're trying to hide and protect so that that doesn't happen again. And so if that's the case for you, Charity is here to help you, and she's actually showing me that you will need this particular energy, but to tap into the energy of being gracious, of still serving, of, finding, being filled up by giving to others, instead of, pulling back. Let's say if you felt that you were treated unfairly, this is giving you the opportunity with Charity here to still be gracious, to still be kind. And that's really what it means to be unconditionally loving, and to kind of operate from a higher place and a higher vibration and frequency. And it's not to say to let others walk over you or anything like that, but this is saying, okay, let Lady Portia, the angel of divine order, the keeper of the light of divine order, handle the justice, know that that's being served. And then Charity comes in to kind of get you back into that energy of an open heart, which again is going to then take you back to Haniel. Because if you're going to genuinely feel your feelings and honor them and allow them to come up, you do need to have a level of, not being bitter or resentful, but being kind of open to love. And same with Orion, open to miracles. And all of that comes from a great gracious heart, a willing heart, a heart that is willing to give to others, to kind of support others, even though you're going through a lot, even though, you know, you're kind of going through whatever situations and all these new beginnings and all this chaos. Even still, you find it in you to give with a gracious heart. And so as a result, something called the divine, like the law of divine compensation, starts to come into play here, where Lady Portia will make sure that the justice, that you will be compensated for your kindness. It always works like that. When you serve, but without expecting like to get something in return, you always get more back in return. And so the interplay, and that's what I love about this reading as well, is because you see how all these different spiritual beings and keepers of the light and archangels, how they all manage to just work together so harmoniously, so in sync. And you could really tell just by looking at this board of directors exactly like the specific I want to say like karmic energy that you're overcoming through the help of this collection of beings, because individually they all help with, so many things, but together it becomes so specific and so targeted, really. Okay, so after this, we have, I'm going to introduce you to our advisors from the ancestral realm, okay? So stepping forth, we have the Star Ancestor, and the Star Ancestor on your advisory board is going to support you in following the voice of your soul. And so, it seems to me like this is a, challenge or chapter in your life where the outdated way was, again, to do something that others might have told you to do, or that you thought you had to do, or that you thought was right. And instead to go in, right? Remember, we were speaking about that, and you're seeing how they're all working so perfectly together, but to go inside, figure out, connect with your emotions, honor your emotions, understand what you need and what you want, reach for the stars, reach for something bigger, understand that, you will be compensated for this, and then go for it. Listen to that voice of your soul. So this is really telling me that, you are at a point where no longer are you going to ignore the calling. This advisory board, they are helping you to just stay attuned to what your soul is saying, and to kind of drown out or silence out or just block the noise of others around you who might have opinions that just have stopped you in the past. This is a time in your life when you're finally ready to answer the call. And so Star Ancestor is here, on behalf of your ancestors and the ancestral realm to, increase the volume of that voice of your soul so that you can stay aligned with it throughout, so that you don't veer. And if you do find that you're kind of getting off track or questioning, what does my soul really want right now? Then call on Star Ancestor to just keep you aligned to that voice of your soul, because that's going to be critical for you to move forward and to clear out those old stories and old ways of doing things. The new way that you're being, asked and offered to follow is one where you listen to what your soul needs and you honor that. Okay? And so the next kind of higher being, the ancestral realm, the gift and advisor that's being offered to you from your ancestors, is the Shapeshifter. And what an incredible ally to have on your advisory board. The Shapeshifter, when you're going through a transition, when you're trying to get from one place to a place you've never been, the ability to shapeshift, to take something in one form and change its form, and to kind of morph into what you need to be in order to get to that goal, that is so critical. That is so useful. This is going to really help you kind of transform old stories and limiting beliefs and to actually unveil your gifts, and to do so in a very fluid way. Like when I think of a shapeshifter, I think, of an octopus, let's say, who's constantly, as they navigate, the ocean, the depths, they're changing their appearance to either kind of get away from predators or, maybe not be seen, which sounds kind of interesting because you're here to be seen. But sometimes you need to kind of quietly do this in silence. You need to just follow the voice of your soul, like we're saying, and have this ability to maybe camouflage out the rest of the world and its influences, which are always very heavy and kind of maybe in the past just steered us in the wrong way. And so Shapeshifter gives us this twofold beautiful gift of, number one, being able to kind of go through this in solitude and stay aligned with your soul while drowning out or kind of not making a scene or causing a scene by sticking out too much, if that makes sense, while you're in the process of healing. And so that's a very kind of potent, powerful energy that you can tap into when you're feeling like, maybe doubtful of whether you can unveil your gifts or whether you're ready and that kind of thing, because Shapeshifter is, can quickly alchemize the energy of any situation. So that is the first part of your spiritual board of directors, your advisory board. And, what I do for myself when I do these readings is I'll keep these cards around me, and I'll, even visualize in meditation, or when I have a question, let's say. This is really, really good for decisions. When you feel stuck, when you don't know what to do, to kind of imagine that they're all placed around you, really like a boardroom. You can even kind of have this practice where you call a board meeting. You could do it every day. You could do it 5 times a day if you need it. You could do it once a week to check in, but you kind of go through and you connect with each of these advisors, each of these higher beings who are dedicated to helping you at this moment. And it's just so wonderful because throughout your day, if you're feeling like, oh gosh, who can I call? Who can I ask for this? There's kind of this team in your mind, in your heart, really, in your energy, in your aura that is standing by you and protecting you. And so this is such a beautiful way, it's a much more comfortable and reassuring and secure and exciting and inspiring way to go forth and take a leap of faith, rather than saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I'm all alone and stuck. And so that is the spiritual board of advisors, the advisory board. Again, I offer this as a personal reading for your specific situation. That's on my Etsy page, so you can go ahead and just click there. And the link is in my bio. But for now, for whatever situation you're going through, start by calling on these, advisors that I've just mentioned. And in my readings I can do kind of add different a spirit animal or whatever it might be, a mantra, that kind of thing. But for now, I would say that if this reading is resonating with you, if you are feeling this energy of great change, then call on these incredible board of directors, of advisors, every single day, and watch as they support you through this transition. So I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that this helps. I hope that this excited you and this made you feel a bit more, like I said, secure and confident and protected and guided as you take this leap. And just know that you are absolutely supported, not by, unseen kind of energies that you can't quite put your finger on, but by all these higher beings that have chosen to step forth to help you today and to help you throughout this process. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye.